they cannot sell those shares until the government is paid back. Other banks getting just a cash infusion from the government will have less strict limitations, and the president even wants changes for banks that did not take a dime of TARP money. The plan calls for financial firms to give shareholders, quote, say on pay, and executives would be required to hold company stock for several years before selling.
All right, let's get an instant audit. Matthew Tuttle's here from Tuttle Wealth Management this morning. What do you make of this, these moves to crack down on executive pay, which has certainly become a hot button kind of populist issue here the last few months?
Definitely. I mean, I think the taxpayers are clamoring for something. So I think the administration had to do something about it. But two things really concern me. You know, number one, as an avowed capitalist, I kind of wonder, is this a Pandora's box?
Yep.
Once you open it up, where does this end? Does this lead to other things? The other issue being, you know, do you have banks that maybe do need TARP money but don't take it because they're worried the CEO's getting $5 million, he's going to take a $4.5 million pay cut if he takes the money?
And so as far as a shareholder, too, because not only as an investor, a shareholder, that kind of, what is it, the say to pay to say?
Have a say in the pay or whatever, yeah, rhymes with something.
little
have a say in how much
there.
they're getting paid is the point.
Right. The question is, Matt, I mean, do you, as a shareholder, do you want to be able to vote on what a CEO of a company you own stock in gets in their paycheck?
Yeah, I think you want to have some balance there, but you got to be very careful with that because you're going to end up with brain drain. Where, you know, if can get 500,000 at one company and 5 million at another, you could be losing your best and brightest. You might be shooting yourself in the foot.
Right. You can see the argument, though, between the distinction between TARP money and non-TARP money, though, can't you, in a lot of ways? I mean, if you're taking money from the government, you got to put up with whatever they tell you, don't you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, definitely, as a taxpayer, you know, you don't want to see the government putting millions, billions of dollars into these companies.
Right.
See it go out in executive pay and golden umbrellas and things like that.
Yeah, you can see that part of the argument. All right, Matthew, thank you very much. And now let's talk more about what's happening down in D.C. today. We have this debate continuing on the stimulus plan as well. $885 billion, maybe $900 billion. We'll see where it ends up. But Senate Republicans objecting to much in this bill, saying it includes just too much spending that's not targeted to immediately boost the economy. A lot of debate yesterday centering around a $246 million tax break for Hollywood studios, for example. Eventually, that was taken out of the bill, which is the point of the debate, I guess, when you think about it. Meanwhile, the president on a media tour pushing a stimulus plan, saying it needs to be passed quickly. His press secretary, Robert Gibbs, saying the spending Republicans are complaining about amounts to less than 1% of the total bill.
Well, and President Obama is trying to soften a controversial part of the stimulus plan. The European Union says the, quote, Buy American clause is too protectionist.
The protectionist message. I want to see what kind of language we can work on this issue. I think it would be a mistake, though, at a time when worldwide trade is declining, for us to start sending a message that somehow we're just looking after ourselves and not concerned with world trade.
Well, Democrats and trade unions are in favor, of course, of this Buy American clause, which would give construction contracts or give priority of construction contracts to U.S. firms.
All right, well, let's get on to the breaking news this morning, some company news out of Costco that we'll talk about in a moment. I believe we want to go over to Ashley, though, to check those European markets. Costco had a warning on their earnings, which we'll talk about in some detail, look at the stock in the pre-market. But how about those European markets, Ashley?
European markets still higher, Connell, but let's start our day's review, if you like, in Asia. And for that, we go to Nina May of Sky News Business Channel, who is live in Sydney for what has probably been another busy day of news. Nina, good morning to you.
Oh, gee, Ashley, good morning to you as well. It does seem like every day is a busy one. You're right there. And Australia, it stood out today, but I have to say, for all reasons. Our share market actually had a poor day while most other major Asian share markets were in positive territory. So let's take a look at the numbers. Japan's Nikkei was up by 2.7%. Hong Kong's Hang Seng also put on more than 2%, as did China's market. Now here at home, the Aussie share market fell 2%. The benchmark ASX 200 was down 71 points. The All Ords slid 69 points. In news out of Asia today, the world's largest consumer electronics maker, Panasonic, will cut about 15,000 jobs, with the deepening recession and stronger yen forcing the company to forecast its biggest loss in 7 years. Now, Panasonic joins rival Sony in cutting jobs, closing factories and projecting losses in these tough times. Now, here at home, we've had some time to dissect the Australian government's $27 billion package to rescue our economy. Now, the opposition doesn't like what it sees and will vote against it, arguing the plan is too large large and will burden future generations.